Hi guys out there in YouTube land. So this is my fourth video in a row. Probably going to take a break after this and we'll see if I continue making videos after or not. But since I'm sitting here with Claude, we're going to start with Claudine's full story. Not full story. Her backstory. That's what I meant. Claudine's backstory. So how she came to be in the orphanage. I had watched my video before this, or at least skim through it or something. Before you start watching my character videos, I will try to, in my character videos, link my original world building story so that you know and understand the world they live in, because they do not live in our human world. That is your disclaimer, so that you know that they probably wouldn't act or be the same in our world, because their world is much different. So here you go. This is Claudine. Fun fact, she's wearing dog clothes. I'm not kidding. Her coat is a dog coat, and her shirt is a dog Avengers shirt. Yeah, she's wearing dog clothes. Fun fact. Your best friend can be Five Below in the dog clothes if you want this style. Oh, thank you. You just completely destroyed everything by going forward like that. Oh, her legs are killing me. Oh, you murder me. I'm going to stop trying and just sit her the way she wants to sit. Okay. Do what you do, Claudine. Do what you do. You're being a butt rash. So, Claudine is 17 years old. She is, she started this world in a middle upper class. Her family was never rich, but they didn't hurt for anything. Her parents both had good working jobs, and she was your typical average, kind of kid. She never was girly. Of course, she clearly is more punkish and gothish with all of her chains and stuff. At first, growing up, she really, really hated the way she looked. This is because she's gay. That wasn't obvious. She's always liked girls. And she's always been more masculine. She would be what people normally consider a butch. She likes girly girls, but she has an extremely shapely female body. Big boobs, big hips. She has that, kind of ideal girl body. And she did, when she was younger, attract a lot of unwanted male attention, which is why she now dresses in almost overly baggy clothes and pants and anything to make her look less attractive to men. So she grew up in, just your kind of average Joe, city, like small, kind of not small town, medium town, in a high school. Enough people there where not everyone knew everybody, but at least everyone knew of everybody, even if they didn't know them. And her character is a lot based in kind of her personality's a lot like mine, how I really am, though her story isn't quite like I am. She's almost kind of my ideal girlfriend, because I do both girls and boys. So for you who are confused, because I post pictures of my boyfriend on Instagram, I'm pansexual. She's my ideal girlfriend. Yes. So, anyways, she just kind of lived a normal life. She was an average student. She didn't get all A's. She got mostly C's and B's. She didn't really know what she wanted to do with her life, and she never really thought or cared. Her parents pressured her, like, hey, you need to figure out where you're going for college. You need to figure out about all this, blah, blah, blah. But she never really buckled down and did anything. And she didn't ever really have a lot of friends in her high school. She knew people, she hung out with people, but she was never super close to anybody. And so one day she comes home and finds her parents gone. And by gone, I mean dead. They were there, just not there. She just comes home and they're just laying there. Her father is laying in the recliner and not moving, and she finds her mother on the kitchen floor, and she can't revive them. They're not breathing, they have no heartbeat, and she calls the police, and they come, and there's no discernible. This is the thing I forgot to say in my main story. When there's no discernible reason why someone should be dead, it's generally a demon. But humans don't fully understand this yet, and don't fully. There are people like my main characters who are damn near 100% positive that this means the demon killed somebody, but it pretty much just seems like, I'm sorry, my nose itches so much. It's if there's no discernible, there's no physical signs of why someone died, there's no internal signs of why someone died, it's a demon. But they just kind of brush these things under the rug. They don't fully understand them. They don't fully know what's going on. And I'm going to pause this video for a moment. Sorry about that. So there's no discernible death. In the autopsy, nothing comes up. Nothing's wrong. Her mom has a bump on her head, and that's it from the fall. Her dad is just completely untouched. There's no bruises. There's no signs of fighting back. He's just gone. And her mother's just gone. And of course, when kids get to talking in the orphanage, they realize, like, all their parents were just kind of gone. Like, some of them go in more dramatic ways, like, this happens while they're in a car, then there's an accident, and then it gets deemed because of the accident. So, but either way, speaking of Claude, she comes home, her parents just gone. The police just tell her that they died. They won't explain anything more to her. And unfortunately, in Claudean's case, her parents were not close to any of their family. And no one really knows that they even had a kid, and no one really, people are kind of brainwashed into thinking that these orphanages for these misplaced kids or kids who've lost their parents are good things, that it's not particularly better for them to be with a family member, that this can be just as good. So people who don't have a connection to the child, like in Claude's case, where none of them knew she existed, go, she'll be fine in there. I mean, she doesn't really need us, right? And so she ends up in the orphanage. And this happens when she's around 15 years old. So she's been in the orphanage 2 years, because she's 17 now, when the main story starts. So in the 2 years from 15 to 17 that she's in the orphanage, of course you go to classes in the orphanage and all that, and there's other people, and some, come and go, because it's not the only reason you come into the orphanage. Sometimes kids get taken from their family because their parents aren't good. Just like in our world, when parents aren't deemed, able to take care of their kids for whatever reason, and some kids, it's also kind of used as a place to bring kids who are unruly, which is kind of a controversial thing in the world, because some people don't think this is okay. It's like this part of the political side of it, where kids who are taken away from their family because they're uncontrollable bad kids. So they also come into these because you live, eat, sleep, and go to school all in the same building. That's how these orphanages are set up. They're very large, tall buildings where The bottom layers are kind of where they live, and the upper layers are where they go to school and other things like that. So, so she comes in, and that's where she kind of falls in love with Belladonna, which I'm considering changing her name. So if that changes in the future, you'll know why. Belladonna is my Fairyland 65 Angela. She's got an Angela face. She was originally my Doll Zone Helen, and then she got changed into a 65 centimeter Fairyland Chloe elf, and then now she's Angela. So yeah, there we go. She falls in love with her. Not in a way like, not in your typical romance. Oh my god. She's just like, I really like her, you know, always attracted to her, always trying to spend time with her. I'll get more into that when I do Belladonna's video and how she came to be. She also makes friends with Claymore, who is my Midgie doll Gina on a F doll body. She kind of becomes best friends with him, and through Claymore is how the other two come in, which is my Longzell Ixia and my MS doll Drayton on a fairy F doll body. They come in because they're Claymore's friends. So that's how the group forms over the 2 years they're in there. They all become super close. Belladonna's a bit of a weird case, and I'll explain her in her video, but you just need to know that Claudine, in this time, starts going by Claude instead of Claudine, and more takes on a more masculine persona. Just like in our world, the more you get hurt, the more you become defensive, and the more walls you put up. So Claude is Claudine's defense. If I'm more masculine, if I'm more powerful, if I come off more like someone you don't want to screw with, you're not going to screw with me. And that's kind of how Claude becomes. It's one of those traits that Claude gets from me. Because that's how I grew up. You're not going to mess with me if I look like something you don't want to mess with. And that's how I got through high school. So that's kind of the trait that Claude has taken. Beforehand, Claude still dressed masculine, but he, because at that point he does just let people call him he. He doesn't correct anyone. He doesn't care. Before, no, I'm a girl, my name's Claudine, whatever. After this all happens, that's when he starts becoming more defensive and just kind of takes on that role of, yeah, I'm a dude, fuck you, leave me alone. And only deals with these people who've kind of, in a way, Claymore attached himself, and I'll speak more of that in Claymore's video, to Claudine, and kind of weaseled his way into Claude's friendship, and slowly over time, Claude became attached to him, type thing, because there's reasons for that, and I'll do that in Claymore's video, because I don't want to try to explain him in this video. That would be really kind of confusing. So, you know, Claude becomes attached to them, but he's become this much more defensive person. He's become more of a him in a way, and kind of fallen in love fallen in love is kind of a harsh word, because these are teenagers. He's fallen for Belladonna. He just finds her to be gorgeous and mysterious, and I'll explain some of that in her video and the way she acts. And that's where our story kind of takes place. We'll end it there. So he's become more masculine. He's become kind of more defensive. He's got his group of people. If you are outside of his group of people, he's wary of you, doesn't want you to be around, and he will glare at you and just be like, fuck off, dude, just leave me alone. And that's about it. So, I hope you enjoyed this video about this one. As you can see, you might understand why I'm a little bit more attached to this doll and have been for a long time. Because, he, she, whatever. So that's why you hear me say he or she interchangeably with this character. Because depending on where in the storyline we are is how he refers to himself. Or, doesn't, correct people. It's not one of those things. This is not one of those people in the real world who would be like, how dare you call me a female? He doesn't care. He doesn't really care. When the teachers refer to her, they refer to her because they know it's a her because they're her teachers. And she doesn't correct them. She doesn't really care. But the teachers do call her Claude because Claude is just a short for Claudine, so why not? It's not really something they care about. So it's just one of those things that it's not a huge deal. It's not something that is a make it or break it for Claude if you call him a her or her a him. It's just one of those things that kind of happens. That comes from another part of my character where I used to kind of, me as a person, walk around campus specifically hiding the fact that I was female, just more to make myself feel more comfortable walking across campus in the middle of the night, because you're less likely to mess with me if you think I'm a dude. That's actually a character trait that I did sometimes, so on purpose. Through college, I would hide my long hair and hide most of my face where you really couldn't see me, and look big and bulky in huge hoodies and stuff. So you can see where I come with my connection to this doll and where some of it just comes from who I am. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, just let me know. You can always like it to let me know I try to respond to all comments. If you want to comment and say, hey, you want to see more about certain characters, just like in my last video. If you want to see a certain character, if you want to hear about a certain character sooner rather than later, please let me know. So, bye!